Dad here, old fart, loves his daughter to pieces, but I'm struggling to see eye to eye with my teenager and wife on this one. We've always been a meat-eating family, we live in the rural Midwest and bacon for breakfast is pretty much a given. This year my 14-year-old daughter decided to go vegan, and I jumped onto her support team with enthusiasm. We learned how to substitute ingredients, cook new things, try new things, I adjusted our budget to include more expensive vegan substitutes for her, etc. None of this has been a problem for me until recently. She saw me cook bacon in a pan, and then I rinsed it out to load in the dishwasher. She exploded in anger, teen years, I'm not too fussed about the anger explosion, I know she doesn't mean it, and said that was her pan for vegan food. I was completely floored and said, kiddo, this here is a family pan, older than you, it's not your pan. She asked me to purchase her a pan that she can solely use for vegan food. I didn't want her to feel weird about food, so I said sure and ordered her a few colored ones that are only for her. The reason they're colored is so it helps me remember that I'm not to touch them unless I'm cooking vegan. That wasn't good enough. Now apparently the dishwasher is contaminated with animal product and the fridge has bacon grease fingers on it because I eat bacon and then touch the fridge, and she's asked me and her mom to completely stop eating meat at home. I don't mean I literally touch the fridge with greasy bacon hands because I wash my hands, but it's clearly enough that it upsets my daughter. Frankly, I'm on team hell no. Her mom is much more amenable and strongly wants me to consider taking our daughter up on the request. My wife's reasoning is that both our parents live close, so we can eat meat products there, and that she doesn't want our daughter to feel uncomfortable in the kitchen. My daughter says she is fine with cheese and butter in the fridge, but it's specifically meat products that make her feel sick. Now I'm sorry for her, but I feel like she just needs to adapt and live side by side because I'm not going to stop eating bacon in my own house. Not the a-hole. Get her a special sponge she can use to wash her own dishes so she didn't have to use the tainted dishwasher. I was about to suggest something along those lines too, and not the a-hole obviously. See how serious she is about it when she's getting her own set of plates, dish soap and sponge to keep her food free of meat residue. As a teen who's trying to go vegetarian, your daughter is acting ridiculous. The dishwashing machine's tainted. What kind of bull is that? And she shouldn't be forcing you guys to go vegan in your own house if you don't want to. You've been very supportive as it is, buying separate pans. You would not be the a-hole. Edit. And, if she really wants to change your diet, she should try and give you info on how bad the meat and dairy industry is and how unhealthy large amounts of meat are for the modern human. Then you guys make your own choices on what you want to eat. Edit 2. I'm gonna take this time to say that 1. Please, regardless of if you're a meat eater, vegan, vegetarian, whatever. Please be civil in discussions over this. If you want to be pissed off over something, this really shouldn't be it. 2. I really didn't want to start any debates, but whatever. Just take everything anyone, and I include myself, say with a grain of salt if they don't provide links to a credible source. Honestly, it's been nice just talking to people getting varying opinions on this subject, but I'm starting to see a bit of hate flow through a few people just showing up. Not the a-hole, and I say that as a vegan. Cross-contamination is bullshit that militant vegans make up to make themselves feel superior to other vegans. And she has to understand that there's going to be meat around. I get that it upsets her, really, but unless she only lives with vegans for the rest of her life, this is something she is going to have to get used to. The compromise might be to keep the meat in a drawer in the fridge rather than getting rid of it altogether. She's young and a new vegan, so the good news is that she will probably grow out of up on it. When you first go vegan, you're so excited and feel so enlightened, like no one ever figured this out before you. Then you get a little jaded and relax a bit. Try to tough it out and keep talking to her. But no, you do not need to stop making meat in your house just for her. Edit. I am very clearly not talking about cross-contamination when it comes to food allergies. Bingo. This is new vegan, combined with 14-year-old. Anything you do short of going 100% animal product free in the home will eventually be an affront to her newfound religion. With enough time, she'll reach the "oh, I have to live in a world that isn't vegan" and be okay with that stage, and OP's life will get easier. This happened on Halloween and the day following. My neighbor, 38, super vegan, has 2 kids. I, 26, also have 2 kids. My apartment complex didn't do traditional trick-or-treating on Halloween. Residents were advised to set out prepackaged individual candy bags on their patio's front door areas if they wanted to participate, but the traditional knock on door, physically hand strangers candy was not permitted. So, Halloween comes and the kids are all dressed up, and each building has a scheduled time where the kids go door to door. I ended up having to work late, so my neighbor offered to walk my kids around with hers at our building's scheduled time. About 45 minutes later my kids came home with a small bucket of candy, 6 little goodie bags each from individual apartments that participated. Everything was fine, and my kids didn't say anything weird had happened. They were just excited to eat candy once they got home, lol. The next day I took my kids to the park directly across from our apartment complex. My neighbor was there with her kids as well. The kids were playing and she took out one of those individual goodie bags with candy in it from her purse and started to loudly rummage in it. She ate several pieces of candy and my daughter eventually noticed, ran up and asked if she could have a piece, and my neighbor responded, "Nope, this is my tax candy, remember that this was my reward for taking you trick-or-treating last night." I was a little weirded out by that statement and asked what she meant. She said that since she is the one who had to take the kids out, she took 5 bags from each of my kids as a tax. Her son then chimes in and said, "You only took 2 bags from us." She responded with, "But I'm your mom, I was doing OP a favor, so they get a higher candy tax." I was thinking about how to respond when I noticed that she was holding a Starburst candy and decided to just smile and nod and go back to watching my kids. I let her continue to finish off the bag of candy and then said, "Hey, aren't you vegan? You know a lot of those candies are made with animal products, right?" I explained what gelatin was and how a lot of those candies are made with it. She was horrified, Googles it and then told her kids that they were leaving. She said something about how she was going to be sick and stormed off. Now she's giving me dirty looks every time we see her and won't let her kids play if she shows up at the park and we are there. My husband thinks I'm an a-hole cause I should have either not said anything about the gelatin or said something right away when I noticed. I don't think it's my job to tell a vegan what isn't vegan though, and she deserved it for stealing candy from little kids. Not the a-hole, gelatin is like the first thing you figure out isn't vegan anyways, and I say this as someone who did try veganism. It takes 0 effort to Google that and also 0 effort to not be a jerk to kids. I know this and have never been close to veganism in a practical sense. This woman probably thought she wouldn't get called out and is either embarrassed or adding to her sense of importance. Not the a-hole, ignoring the fact that this candy tax is just a sugar-coated way of thieving candy from children. It's not your responsibility to inform someone if something is vegan or not. If this mom didn't know how gelatin is made, that's her issue and not yours. I always jokingly tell the kids I nanny that I get a nanny tax on their Halloween candy. In reality I always ask if they mind if I have one of whatever specific candy kind it is or not first. The kids honestly always forget about the candy and it all always gets tossed aside for what us adults take. Even knowing that I would still never take bags of their candy and I would never even think about taking anyone else's kids' candy. That's messed up. Not the a-hole. You would be if she had an allergy to something and didn't tell her, but this was just good petty revenge. She's the a-hole. Literally taking candy from babies. What kind of person is this? She took almost half of your kids' candy. That's insane. It would have been bad enough to take a bag from each child, but 2 from hers and 5 from yours. No. What a horrible person. Also, I was a vegan for 7 years and don't know how she wouldn't know gelatin is typically an animal product. Lamau, good job OP. This was 100% deserved. Long-time lurker here. Hoping some of you guys can weigh in on what has become a really frustrating situation with a close friend and his partner. So my wife, 29, and I, 29, have been hosting dinner parties a few times a year for as long as we've lived in our current city. We like to go all out and cook elaborate multi-course meals, so we limit our invitations to just a few close friends, since cooking such a complex dinner is an all-day affair and the food costs add up quickly. We have about 4 to 6 people we invite to these events, depending on their availability, and it's become a great tradition in our social circle. Our friend James started dating his girlfriend Sarah about a year and a half ago, and when we first extended her an invitation, we were informed that Sarah was vegan. I thanked James for letting us know and said she was more than welcome to bring her own food so she would have something to eat. He agreed, and the two of them have been attending our parties regularly for the past year. Everything was fine until now. During our most recent dinner this past week, we noticed that Sarah was very quiet and looked like she was about to cry. My wife asked her what was wrong, but she told us not to worry about it and kept dodging the question, so we didn't push the issue. However, after the meal, James took us aside privately and told us that Sarah felt hurt because we never provided any dishes she could eat at our dinners, and it seemed like we were deliberately excluding her. He added that he thought we were being rude and inconsiderate by not accommodating her, which really pissed me off, and we got into a huge argument over it. My wife feels terrible that Sarah was so upset and apologized to her and James profusely, but I don't agree that we did anything wrong. I like Sarah very much as a person, and I don't have anything against her dietary choices, but I don't believe it's fair to expect us to change our entire menu or make an entire separate meal for one person, especially when so much time and effort goes into creating these dinners. For the record, nobody else has any dietary restrictions. Am I the a-hole? I mean, I get it, I suppose. But dude, she's been coming over a year and a half, and it's not that hard to make vegan food. It does seem like you guys are deliberately excluding her. You don't have to make a full meal, you can make at least one dish she can eat though. You're the a-hole. Just a mashed potato or coleslaw wouldn't cost much in my opinion, or even like some other people said, they could have get Sarah to help them with some preparation. You're the a-hole. Really? You can't even make one dish vegan? They've been dating over a year and a half, and you continue to invite them over knowing she's vegan. It does seem like deliberate exclusion. You don't have to redo your entire menu, but Jesus, at least have something there for her to eat. It's not that difficult, and it shows respect for your friend and his girlfriend. That's the part that amazed me, and is likely why Sarah felt excluded. I probably have a couple of vegan meals a month, not out of any conscious decision to eat vegan, but just because sometimes I want to make tomato butternut squash soup for dinner or something like that. And sure, maybe your personal recipe for those things would normally contain, say, meat stock or something, but if you know a vegan is coming, would you not think to ever try experiment with a vegan meal on occasion? Like, OP clearly loves cooking if they're happy to regularly host for dinners, but they don't want to branch out and try new things.